Only 4 races remain to decide a champion in the 1UP Superstar Series, and that fight begins now at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, where for 100 laps, these superstar drivers will put everything on the line for championship glory and maybe snag a race win in the process. And alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action, of course, is Jacob Crago with us once again. Great to have you with us. This is one of the highlights on the schedule, in my opinion, because North Wilkesboro, a lot of character to this racetrack, and it can bite hard if you're not expecting it.
Half-mile long, short, narrow. Man, this is one of the best types of racetracks in the country. And, man, I love this place, man. It is one of the greatest places, harken back to the olden days of racing. Some good old beating and baning, short track racing, where track position is key. The further up you are, the more likely you are to remain up there. But if you're not careful, you can get sent to the tail end of the field in a hurry, especially if someone is just a little bit too impatient with how you're racing them.
Absolutely, and I know we've talked a lot about the racing action here and not so much about the overall big picture, but looking at these point standings right now, after 26 races, Dillon Young's eked out a bit of a lead over Miles Mashburn in the standings. I know it's only 12 points, but with Henry Thomas, the next guy behind, 34 back, it's looking more and more like it's going to be a battle between the 29 and the 72 for this overall championship.
Yeah, but as you said, 4 races left. After today, it will be 3. Depending on what happens today, depends on whether or not Henry Thomas can capitalize and maybe move ever so closely and make it a 3-horse race for this championship. Although I would say don't count out Vargas just yet. He's only 2 points back from Thomas himself. So with Miles Mashburn having a couple of off weeks here, having a pit stop issue back at Texas, finishing, just in the upper midfield last time out at Denver Motorsports Park. Like, it seems like he's been a little bit snake bitten in the last couple of weeks, but we'll have to take a look and see what's going to happen today, how he can maybe bounce back, see if Dillon Young can maybe continue his charge in the lead that he's held now for a couple of weeks, or maybe we can even see a surprise from maybe Chase Christ or Cale Tescar Jr. I mean, Chase Chris is, last week's winner. So anything can happen here, especially with being the short track.
Well said indeed. A lot can happen in 100 laps here at North Wilkesboro. We're about to find out what it'll hold this year. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 100 laps of action, and we've got a lot of playoff drivers at the front of the field. Christian Vargas with his second pole of the 2025 season, but alongside him, not one of the playoff contenders, Ryan Griffin in the 0-2, looking for his first career win in this series. Behind him, though, you got a lot of yellow banners. Dillon Young in third, Devin Fair fourth, Finguy, Tescar, Thomas, Sanders, DeLello, Caesar, they're all occupying the top 10, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for guys who really need good runs, like, for example, Miles Mashburn, who starts all the way down in 14th.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. This is the one that a lot of people wanted to be at, the one they all wanted to have good runs at. It goes to show you, just with being 9 out of 10 drivers in the top 10 being playoff guys, they're all here. They've all come to play. They all come to go out, get that win, and try to put themselves in a position to still be fighting for a championship at the end of 100 laps today in Wilkesboro.
So with that being said, we've got 42 cars ready to take the green flag here in Wilkes County, and the green flag is moments away from being dropped on the field. It is the 1UP Superstar Series playoffs from North Wilkesboro Speedway, and the green flag set to get this great race underway in just a short while. Who knows what we'll see at North Wilkesboro this time around. It is Vargas and Ryan Griffin on the front row, leading us to the restart zone. In the middle of turn 4, the green flag's already out, and for 100 laps, the 1UP Superstar drivers take on North Wilkesboro, and we are racing. Sanders from the outside immediately jumps to the inside. That's how important that bottom lane is here at a place like this. You saw the 87, he started this race in 8th. He immediately jumped to the bottom lane at the first opportunity.
Yeah, Henry Thomas didn't get off the line very good. In fact, you already see him 3 wide in the middle between Zayden Davidson and Julio Caesar further back. You said it. That's how important the inside lane is. And speaking of which, here comes Dillon Young. We already had issue. Eric Monaco.
Yeah, we had one around on the back straightaway. It's 25 of Eric Monaco. He's limped it back to pit road. So we don't have a caution for this. He's back out on the racetrack. Wow, that's a sharp exit for the 25. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back in for more detailed repair work. But Vargas has led the opening 2 laps so far from the pole. On the outside, however, Dillon Young's got some help from his teammate Jeffrey Finguy, and this 29 really wants to lead a lap and get that bonus point.
Yeah, and Finguy really wants to just make up points in general. I mean, he entered this race 13th in points, 90 back from Dillon Young. He really wants to try and make up as many points as possible, and there you see it, Eric Monaco now coming down pit road to get repairs, possibly maybe even serve a penalty due to how he exited pit road. But yeah, Dillon Young now clear of Vargas. That leaves Finguy and Vargas to battle side by side. Devin Fair, meanwhile, in 4th with it looks like Cody Goforth making up a lot of spots.
Whoa, they made contact! Vargas and Fair made contact out of turn 2, and that almost could have been disaster for the Revolution Racing teammates. Thank goodness it wasn't anything worse than what it was, as we got the Fair & Co teammates now side by side. DeLello on the inside of Goforth.
Ooh, Thomas in the wall further back.
That's McDonald in the wall, actually. Big shot.
McDonald, my bad.
Big shot for the 12 into the outside wall, and now they're 3 wide with Miles Mashburn in the back. Ferber. Oh man, these guys are just hemorrhaging positions in the midfield, way outside line. That is not where you want to be at North Wilkesboro. They can see the back of the field now. McDonald and Mashburn not in a good position right now.
Yeah, and that is not what Mashburn needs. Yet another race where he has some sort of issue. Ooh, contact between the 83 and the 21 there, just inside of Mashburn. That could have been big.
It could have been big, but Anzac and Kev Shearer, they keep it contained for the time being. But now both Mashburn and McDonald have tumbled out of the top 30 now. They started this race 12th and 14th. They're outside the top 30 now. Oh, and we got one into the wall again, and it's Mark Davey this time in the 11, stacking up the entire back of the field. This is a disaster in the making for Mashburn and McDonald and Julio Cesar for good measure.
Yeah, surprised the caution hasn't come out yet for as many issues as we had, but they've all been able to effectively keep it going in the correct direction throughout the entire race, more or less. As we now see McDonald all the way back at the tail end of the field now with Julio Cesar. He's now able to get to that inside line already. He's starting to try and make some moves here, tucked in right behind Jeff Bolton in the 38. So yeah, tough break for all these guys back here, including JD Martin. Who
Mashburn into the wall for good measure. That just adds insult to injury for Miles Mashburn, who now runs in 41st position, the last car on the lead lap. This is the absolute worst case scenario for the 72 team early in this race. Now they have just 89 laps to try and fight their way back.
Yeah, and with the shortest track this, and with this clean air being key here, and with track position, although I say that Eric Monaco is currently just ahead of the leaders, trying to avoid going a 3rd lap down, these leaders are going to catch that tail end of the field quickly. So if Mashburn, if JD Martin, if they aren't careful, they aren't able to make their way up to the front, they can quickly find themselves a lap down here.
Absolutely. Considering much of the field now is strung out single file, it's easy to fall a lap down here just based on how short this place is. And for guys like Mashburn, McDonald, Julio Cesar, JD Martin, they're all running at the tail end of the field, and they really need to get a move on, because if they don't, they're quickly going to be caught by this group here.
Yeah, and guys like Julio Cesar's and Ben McDonald as well, that was not what they needed or they wanted to hope for a chance to try and close on the points lead. Although it doesn't help that Dillon Young also is currently leading. Although as I say that, here comes Devin Fair to make that move on the inside. He's able to clear and he will lead this lap. That's another bonus point to the 51 that is desperately needed for him.
Yeah, he entered this race 61 points. We had a spin. And this time it's Logan Williams, and this time it does bring the caution out for the first time today. And that was a lucky break for a lot of guys, especially the likes of Mashburn, McDonald, and Cesar. But the caution comes out. Dillon Young critically retook the lead from Devin Fair at the stripe. So Young will be scored as the race leader when we get back going here.
Yeah, that was very crucial, and also crucially, Eric Monaco avoids going a 3rd lap down, so now he will only be 1 lap down when they go to take the green flag.
Yeah, because he'll get the free pass and get one of his 2 laps back.
But yeah, a lot of action already to play for here. It doesn't look like anybody's come down pit road the first go around here, at least from what I can see.
No, not that I can see right now. I thought maybe someone at the back of the field might take a gamble, put some fresh tires on, see if they can climb up through the order. Oh, looks like somebody's going to try it. Aaron Hall in the 07. He started this race down in the 38th position. He's going to take some fresh tires and see what that can do for him later.
Yeah, well, he made up a couple of spots there on the opening run there, but, you know, he's still towards the tail end of the field. Nothing really left to lose. Fuck it, go ahead and put a couple of tires on.
We apologize for the language, of course, but we'll get you a replay of the Logan Williams incident shortly here. So this is where Logan Williams was running, right? Oh, no, he gets a little help from Keon Daly. Ships him off into turn 4 and up into the wall. Thankfully, not a lot of damage on that 8 car, so he should be able to continue plenty fine in this race. But for now, he's got his work cut out for him. Going to restart right at the back of the field with a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, and crucially, though, he was able to hold the brakes, and while, yeah, he did slide down a little bit, was able to hold those brakes and not get anybody else involved in that. So, luckily, break for everybody there.
So you see Eric Monaco here getting the free pass. He will go back to being only 1 lap down in this race, which is good for him if he can catch another caution fairly quickly, get a free pass again, get back on the lead lap. He's still got a ways to go, but this is a much better position for the 25 than he was in.
Yeah, it certainly is, although he will be starting at the tail end of the line, as is per the rule for wave rounds, but that's still better than nothing. But he's still got to be careful if he wants to avoid going a second lap down, especially with as quickly as the leaders can catch the tail end of the field.
Definitely, but hopefully we'll get the 1 to go signal next time by, and Dillon Young will be the one leading us to the restart, but he has 4 Toyotas lined up behind him, in between himself and his teammate Finn Guy. Got Fair back there, Vargas, DeLello, and Zayden Davidson, who started this race down in 13th. He's cracked the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, and although to the credit of Ryan Griffin there, he's running an 8th, started 2nd, hasn't lost too many spots. In fact, he's now just sat in between the Sanders Performance Autosport cars, as we do get the 1 to go signal from the pace car.
So we'll go back racing with 80 laps to go, and it will be Dillon Young out in the lead of this race, with Christian Vargas right behind Devin Fair, 2nd and 3rd on the track for the Revolution teammates. Zachary DeLello, strong run for him and the Fair & Co. Toyota in 4th spot, and Zayden Davidson completes the top 5. Finn Guy 6th. As the pace car pulls off, we're going to get ready for a restart here.
Yeah, Dillon Young has no help behind for the next 4 cars, because they're all effectively teammates, more or less. Of course, Christian Vargas owns 3 of those cars, including the one he's driving. Green flag back in the air, and his teammate ahead of him owning the other, as Davidson already making a move on DeLello, looking to make a move on Vargas. Finn Guy tucked in right behind that 4 car as they head down the back straightaway for the 21st time tonight.
Restart is under review. They're checking to see whether Zayden Davidson pulled out of line a little early for their liking. Hearing word that restart's all clear, we can continue racing. Davidson has been cleared of any wrongdoing, and that's good for him because he's fighting his way towards the top 3. He's gotten past DeLello. He's working on his team owner Vargas right now.
Yeah, I don't think... while he did get a good jump on the restart compared to those ahead of him, I don't think he passed anybody. So I think that's what they were looking at, see if he actually passed somebody before reaching the start and finish line on the inside, which is a big no-no. But they gave him the all clear, so yeah, he's free to race right now. Finney Guy tucked up behind him still. Then you got Chase Chris in the 46 right behind him. But look at this, battle for the lead. Devin Fair took a look to the inside coming off the corner. Couldn't quite make anything of it there. See how he gets around turns 1 and 2 here. He's still tucked up behind that 29. So take a look at the tail end of the field here. Just look through it here. Miles Mashburn now making a move on the 53 with Nolan.
Yeah, he's gained a couple places. He's gained a couple spots since falling to the back. He's right just outside the top 30 at the moment. But what he needs some well-timed cautions at this point to help him up the order a little bit. He can pass a few cars, catch a yellow, pass a few more cars, catch a yellow, etc. He's going to need something like that to get him up into a decent running position again, because he has just lost so many points to Dillon Young, who is dominating this race up at the front so far.
Well, to amend that, he needs a yellow that he's not involved in.
That is also true.
And likely would probably also need some help from Dillon Young, maybe having an issue, whether it's, getting helped into a corner by, say, the likes of Devin Fair or whatnot, or maybe having a slow pit stop or some sort of mechanical issue that slows him down.
3 wide here between Patrick Smith, Dakota Goforth, who backs out of it, and Cale Tesno Jr. Tough break for this 18. He started this race all the way up in 6th spot. He's fallen down the order quite a ways in the 18 car. Miles Mashburn, you see him there. He is right behind Nicky Martinez now. I believe that is a battle for the 30th position. So Mashburn is slowly but steadily making his way towards the front of the field. Ben McDonald, though, not even close, and he hits the wall again.
Yeah, and right at the same time, the 8 of Williams was leaning on Jeff Bolden there, so that could have been huge. Thankfully, they're all keeping it pointed in the right direction, so... no harm, no foul, right?
Well, unless you're Ben McDonald, in which case there's a lot of harm being done to your championship hopes in this race. He's currently down in 40th position, which he is very much not going to be happy about, both during and after the course of this race. But we're on lap 30 now. Dillon Young has led all but about 4 or 5 laps of this thing so far. And he needs as many points as he can get to try and pad his lead so that he can hang on to possibly win a championship on his way out the door.
Well, there's no better way to win a championship. You can say you were never defeated after you got that championship. But yeah, Devin Fair is making it very difficult for him, keeping that 29 honest as they round this racetrack. Of course, Dillon Young right now has that extra bonus point for most laps led locked up at the moment, but there's plenty of time for someone else to try and change that.
And meanwhile, further back, we've got battles here for 10th position between Kruger and Michaels. But how about Stanley Andrews in this one car? He started this race down in 19th. He's almost cracked the top 10. In fact, he's working under Joshua Michaels right now to get into the top 10. Great run for this one team.
Yeah, and they especially needed that. They had a great run with the 31, I believe it was, last week at Denver, able to finish in the top 10. Had a great run, great strategy at the end, able to capture a great finish that Crossroads desperately needed, and now they have that momentum on their side. Stanley Andrews into the top 10 now, keeping that momentum up as best they can.
And only a few cars back from him, Zachary Fitzwater in the 59. He started this race down in 29th spot, so he's made up even more positions on this racetrack. But it continues to be a 2-horse race out front between Young and Fair at the front of the field. They've pulled out about a second between themselves and Christian Vargas. I'm curious if Devin Fair is just biding his time, waiting for Dillon Young to perhaps take the good out of his stuff before he makes a move.
Yeah, maybe just trying to, find a rhythm, find some sort of...
into the wall! Dillon Young hard into the outside wall. That's going to allow Devin Fair immediately to get the move made. And you can see the damage there on the right side of that number 29 Ford. That has given Devin Fair a big advantage out front now. Almost half a second. And now Young, he's got to be feeling the effects of that one.
Yeah, already lost time on Devin Fair, and even more so as the laps have continued here. Vargas is starting to close in a little bit on that 29 car. That could be the deciding factor of who wins this race.
Yeah, Devin Fair now has a lot of control. And he hits the wall again, does Dillon Young. That car cannot be handling as well as it was earlier anymore, because now he's got Christian Vargas all over his tailgate for second position, and Zayden Davidson's not that far behind either.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of damage to that right front wheel area that's causing this continued issue, because I noticed he got way up high in the groove, more so than usual here. just by himself. So that was not an aero issue at all whatsoever that caused a aero tight issue. That was just possible damage to that right front suspension. And now he's just trying to hold on as best he can with that second position while Devin Fair just drives off into the sunset.
Well, the good news for Dillon Young, at least, is that Miles Mashburn is still mired deep in the pack. He's in 28th position at the moment. So Young could probably afford to give up a couple of places here as long as he knows that Mashburn isn't gaining anything on him. But if this damage turns out to get even worse for Dillon Young and he has to bring it down pit road, oh man, that'll change the outcome of this championship by quite a lot.
Yeah, and you know how beaten down, that beaten down feeling he would be feeling. That did make sense. Anyways, but as he runs a little wide again in turns 1 and 2, keeps off the wall this time. Man, that car is certainly hurting.
And meanwhile, Devin Fair has pulled out to over a 1.5 second lead over Dillon Young. It's probably getting even bigger now. Yeah, it's almost 2 seconds between the 29 and the 51. Fair's actually not that far away from catching the back of the field. He's only about a straight away behind Jeff Bolton, who's currently running 41st. So it won't be too much longer. Devin Fair will have to start dealing with some lap traffic.
Yeah, as we see here, Chase Chris has gone around Zachary DeLello. Now the 70 trying to look to the inside as well. Can't quite get the move done there in turns 1 and 2. As 3 wide just ahead of Bolton. That's going to allow Bolton to maybe help catch up, but these guys are really slowing themselves down by running that 3 wide.
And just in front of them, Ben McDonald continuing to struggle here. Cody Goforth, a home race for him. He's having a bit of a difficult time after running as high as 5th in the early stages. This race has not treated him kindly, but he'll have another shot at it next year, I'm sure, to have a good showing at North Wilkesboro. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, Devin Fair's lead has grown to over almost 2.5 seconds between himself and Dillon Young, who, to his credit, is managing to hold off Christian Vargas for the time being.
Yeah, just lost that momentum and rhythm that he was having after he hit the wall both times, but seems to have regained a little bit of mojo here to keep himself in second place there. So we see a little bit further back, Zayden Davidson trying to hold off Jeffrey Finguy, the other Finguy Satori Motorsports car there in the top 5.
Yeah, but I mean, Devin Fair is pretty much checked out on this field ever since Dillon Young's misfortune with the wall. It was 2.5 seconds last time across the line. Now it's just growing to 2.8 seconds now. As Emma Kruger takes a loop. Whoa! Almost hit Lane Sanders going into turn 1. Thankfully, they avoid any further contact. Sanders just barely avoids the wall, and they're able to keep going side by side for what will be 7th position on the road.
Yeah, it goes to show you the talent that both Sanders and Kruger have to be able to not make contact, and also for Sanders to keep it off the wall there, coming off of turn 2 there. So see now, it's a battle for 10th between DeLello, Griffin, and Fitzwater, who hasn't really had great luck all season long. His team, his other team, the 9 cars, missed a few races, including this one. So he's really looking to try and pick up the pieces and try to have a good run here today. Running in 11th, running solidly at the moment as we are approaching halfway.
We will in fact take the halfway lap right here. Devin Fair crosses the line as the halfway leader. Dillon Young now over 3 seconds behind Devin Fair. I just have a feeling that damage is hindering his progress in this race, and he's just backing up Vargas, Davidson, Finguy, and Christ, and the rest of them more and more. Vargas has to find a way to get past this 29 if he's going to have any hope of trying to track down his teammate.
I think he's just trying to find the right opportunity to do so. He's trying to just be patient, work well with Dillon Young, more so than try and maybe hinder both of them and whatnot. He knows Dillon Young's car is damaged. He knows Dillon Young's car is hurting and down on speed. It's just a matter of, trying to find a more correct opportunity to get around than to, make a bonsai move and take both yourselves out.
And meanwhile, here is Miles Mashburn just about to crack the top 25. In fact, this move on Stephen Gale would put him up to the 25th position. And there he goes. Next, he's got the JHM teammates to deal with of Kev Shearer and Keon Daly. Mashburn's been making quiet, slow, steady progress. He's gotten up to the top 25, but with as strung out as this field has become, I stand corrected. This move on Kev Shearer would put him into the top 25, but that's not going to be enough the way Dillon Young is still hanging in there.
Yeah, and Henry Thomas also struggling back there in 30th position as well, so he's not going to have a great time of things right now. Looking at it, I think Christian Vargas is closed right up to Miles Mashburn now for that second spot. I don't think he's quite taking second.
Mahendra into the wall out of turn 2.
Yeah, as we see Mahendra there they're hitting the wall. Now it looks like Vargas actually has taken second spot. Here comes Davidson now to try and make the move for third. Dillon Young stripes the wall.
And every subsequent hit to that wall is not going to help his situation at all.
Yeah, especially when he's helped into the wall like he was there by Davidson. But yeah, now Chase Chris to the inside of the 29. And I think the cork has now officially been opened on that bottle that the 29 was just shaking up there with holding everybody back. And it also doesn't help that Finn guy's now kind of trapped behind that 29. He's also lost a few spots being stuck behind Dillon Young. Although I would expect him to make the move down the inside. Yeah, there he goes right now.
I think
trying to take that spot.
Yeah, and I think Dillon Young. Oh, DeLello! Hard into the outside wall. That's going to allow Ryan Griffin to get underneath him as well. That's the fight for 8th. Lane Sanders going to try and take a look, and I think that's especially going to give an opportunity for Dillon Young to settle back in line in 7th position, which is still plenty good enough for him to keep the points lead.
Yeah, I mean, even then, DeLello still had a gap between him and Finguy and Young, but man, that hit, man. I'm surprised he's able to find his way back in line behind Lane Sanders, and it looks like he's trying to make a move on Sanders. Can't quite get there. I'm surprised with as hard as a hit, he didn't lose several more spots.
Just a testament to the safety and sturdiness of these race cars. As meanwhile, back at the front, Devin Fair's lead's now over 5 seconds, and he's cleared Jeff Bolton to put the 38 a lap down, so Eric Monaco his hopes of catching a caution and getting his other lap back have gone down the drain, as he's on the verge now of going a second lap down for good measure, as Chase Christ, meanwhile, looks to break up the Revolution Racing 1-2-3 at the front of the field.
And he's going to take that third spot coming off turn 4, and that allows Emma Kruger to look to the inside for 4th on that 4 car. But yeah, getting back to the 51 of Devin Ferris, that was very close for Davidson against the wall, as now he does put Monaco a second lap down. This is actually going to allow the rest of the field to kind of close in if Fair isn't able to get around this lap traffic quickly. In fact, you already said there, a 10th came out of the lead between him and Vargas.
And meanwhile, look at this. Ben McDonald in the 12 about to go a lap down to Devin Fair. That is very much not what the 12 team was hoping for. And not too far up the road from him is Henry Thomas, his teammate. So both of the Venta Motorsport cars in the playoffs having a difficult time of things. Julio Caesar's not that far up the road, and nor is Miles Mashburn. Yeah,
Miles Mashburn, though, is kind of in a decent spot here with Devin Fair having a lot of lap cars between him and at 72, but that still is not a great position to be in, knowing that you are less than a half lap ahead of the leader while you're down on track position. So, and actually, now that I say that, Devin Fair actually opened a 10th back up on Chase Chris and Vargas there, as they are now getting set to battle each other for second spot here with clear track ahead of them effectively. Although I don't think Bolton is too far ahead of them. I think he's about 3/4 of a straightaway ahead, give or take.
Well, one thing I do want to mention, as Devin Fair is about to put Cody Goforth a lap down and William Brock too, Chase Christ and Emma Kruger, they started this race down in 21st and 26th, respectively, and they have found their way up to the top 5. Incredible runs from both of them. Christ hoping to continue his good momentum from Denver, Emma Kruger hoping to bounce back after missing a few races earlier in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's not the feeling you want to have of being out of the car, seeing someone else drive it, but you know, when you got to take the time to heal, you got to take the time to heal, and Amber Kruger, to her credit, has taken that time on the heel, and she's now been running really great ever since she's come back. Hasn't quite had, all fortunes in her favor, but yeah, here she is running in the top 5, doing pretty good. Solid job since she returned.
Yep, and that's boosting her up the points once again further and further. Meanwhile, Chase Chris taking a peek underneath Christian Vargas for second position. There are 5.5 seconds behind Devin Fair, who's just putting in the work out in front of this field. He is gaining a lot of time still.
Ooh. Looks like Vargas got a little bit of a bumper from the 46 of Chase Chris there. Chris being a little impatient with that Revolution Racing car, and he moves himself up to second. Here comes Emma Kruger trying to get onto the podium.
How about that for Emma Kruger? Second race back after an injury, get back onto the podium. As look at this, Ben McDonald a lap down, just wasn't able to recover from that early skirmish that dropped him this far down, and now he's in a world of hurt as Henry Thomas is about to meet the same fate.
Yeah, the Venta car's not having the greatest of times right now. It's going to be tough for them to bounce back, especially Ben McDonald, who entered this race 12th in points, 85 back from Dillon Young. This is certainly going to set him back quite a bit further. In fact, dare I say, he might not even be in contention of fighting for a championship, although as I say that, here he is making a move on Henry Thomas for that way down in the order position.
Meanwhile, Nicky Martinez has also gone a lap down in the 43 as Chase Christ, actually Christian Vargas has faded all the way back to the 5th position now. Kruger's gotten past, and so has Jeffrey Finguy. Dillon Young, I think, has just found a place to just ride out the rest of this race in 7th position. He's got a good gap ahead of him to Zayden Davidson, and he's got a solid gap behind him to Zachary DeLello. I think this is where he just wants to hang out, nurse his car home, and protect his lead.
Yeah, although shout out to Zachary DeLello, made that heavy contact with the wall, and he's back basically into the position he was when he made that contact. It saved maybe a position further back, because it's been a few laps since, so I don't remember what position he was in, but yeah, I think he's actually catching the 29, to be honest, but so it'd be surprising if he was able to make that move.
And meanwhile, Zachary Fitzwater's found his way up to the top 10. He's running in the 10th position, about 10 seconds off the lead, as Devin Fair starts to pull away. His next target is Stephen Hunter in the 31 to put the former champion a lap down. Miles Mashburn's found kind of stabilized in about 23rd in this race. That might be as high as he can get. Although, with a quarter of this race to go, I don't know if he's in any real danger of going a lap down at this point, but he's got to keep at it.
Well, it depends on how quickly Devin Fair can get around lap traffic. He's got a little bit of a gap between him and that 31 of Hunter, but that said, you're the leader, you're in the cleanest air. I know that seems counterintuitive when you're in the midst of lap traffic, but you are still in the cleanest air on the track. You are going to be able to make the best lap times even when you're in traffic. So it's going to be close. See if Mashburn goes a lap down. I'm not sure he's going to go a lap down myself personally, but it's still very possible.
And meanwhile, Devin Fair is going to take 21 laps to go at the line. His lead is just growing and growing every single time he crosses the start-finish line. We'll see what it is this time. But yeah, Devin Fair, it was 5 3/4 seconds between himself and Chase Chris. It's now nearly 6 seconds. And that is a very big margin, especially at a place like this.
Well, I've noticed, though, it seems like Devin Fair opens up a 2-3 further gap, and then Vargas closes a couple of those tenths, and then Devin Fair opens up another 2 to 3 tenths. It's been kind of a bit of a back and forth between Devin Fair and, the rest of the top 5 the last few laps. Of course, as I say that, again, another 2 tenths opened up on that time by. I think that's just because Devin Fair having a little bit of a larger gap ahead of him to Stephen Hunter in that 31. So he has a little bit of clean air ahead of him. Meanwhile, Vargas closing in on Jeff Bolton on the tail end of the field to put them a lap down to himself. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect that gap to shrink anytime soon, but I wouldn't expect it to really exponentially grow beyond maybe 7 seconds by the end.
Meanwhile, Devin Fair has caught Stephen Hunter and is about to put the 2020 champion a lap down in the Crossroads 31. Still a solid day for Crossroads Racing, all things considered. They still have Stanley Andrews in the top 20. James Ellison's a few cars further up, I believe. So not a terrible day in the office for Crossroads. They're just building momentum for next season. And with the Mercedes power behind them, they should be in a really good position going forward. As Emma Kruger is starting to close up on Chase Christ with this lap traffic, starting to get in the 46's way.
Yeah, lap traffic can really make your race, can really break your race. It really depends on who you're racing and where you catch them too. And right now it's really hurting Chase Christ. Is he actually getting a little aero tight there on corner entry, being tucked up right behind the 8 car. That's allowed Emma Kruger to close up just a little bit, and it's allowed Devin Fair to open up a little bit even bigger gap. It's already 6.5 seconds, almost 6.6 seconds between first and second now.
Yeah, okay, now it's almost 7 seconds between Fair and Chris. So on barring a serious issue or a yellow flag, I think Devin Fair is just riding this out, picking off lap cars wherever he can. Next up the road for him, Keon Daly, but Devin's got no pressure from behind. He's got a near 7-second lead over the rest of the field. He only lost a few thousandths of a second on that lap. So he's just taking his time, picking his way through the traffic, and in about 13 laps, this race could be his.
I know, bearing a serious incident involving Devin Fair, yeah, I think this race is effectively his at this point. Although that said, if we get an incident here and Devin Fair isn't involved, that doesn't really matter for him at all either, because he's going to have a lot of lap traffic, barring whoever happens to be the first car lap down at the time, between him and second place, because at this stage of the race, we're not going to have a double follow restart. It's going to be single file.
And meanwhile, Chase Christ has lost a couple spots. Emma Kruger, Jeffrey Finguy move up to second and third as they start to now pick it through the back end of the lap traffic, starting with Logan Williams, and now Vargas is right back on their tail as well for fourth, battling with the 46. So Kruger's started this race 26th, and now she's fought her way up into the runners-up spot, an incredible gain for that 70 team.
Yeah, a little bit further back, that 07 car is also broken into the top 10, I've noticed on the scoreboard.
Yeah, he took
tires. So
remember, he took tires on that caution, and that must have really helped him out.
Yeah, it really did. So great run by Aaron Hall in that 07 to make that charge up into the top 10. That leaves Sanders 9th and DeLello 8th as they run. As we're going to be taking 9 laps to go at the line for Devin Fair.
Yeah, I was going to make mention of Aaron Hall. He took, on that lap 17 caution, he took tires, probably took 4 of them, to be honest, making our way further back. Finguy's actually, well, no, Kruger's gone a little ways further up the road, leaving Finguy to battle with Logan Williams as Henry Thomas continues his struggles at the back, off the lead lap. Yeah, Aaron Hall restarted this race in 41st, and it's taken him a while to get there, but he has already climbed up to the 8th position, and it looked like right at the back of our shot, he was right on the back of Dillon Young for 7th.
Yeah, so great call for that team to get those tires. Although what hurt him was that he was the only one to do so. But still, overall, great call. Got him into the top 10, might even get him to the top 6 here by the end of this thing if he's able to push those tires just ever so slightly to that end there. I don't think a top 5 is on the cards for him, but still great run here. Devin Fair now takes 6 laps to go.
And his lead is pretty much stabilized now at about 6.5 seconds. He does have some side-by-side lap traffic ahead of him. We're going back now to look at Aaron Hall in the 07. He is making the pass on Dillon Young now to move up into the 7th position. So I know these tires are only about 15 laps younger than those around him, but that is a huge difference, especially here at North Wilkesboro, where we know the tire fall-off can be quite high.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize that if super fresh pavement like what Wilkesboro has here can wear tires out just as quickly as older pavement, because you don't have that pavement rubbered in. It doesn't have all that, layers and layers of usage and whatnot. So flat tires here, fresh pavement was just detrimental to tires on the pavement before it was resurfaced. So yeah, great call for that 07 team, as now he actually will have a shot to maybe break into the top 5 because he's right on the back bumper of Logan Williams, who's just behind Vargas, who's now trapped on that outside line. That's maybe going to allow Vargas to lose a spot to Aaron Hall.
Well, he's lost a spot to his teammate Davidson as Devin Fair rounds the final corner to take 2 laps to go, and his lead has grown to 7 seconds. As Mashburn's up the road, he's made it up to 21st. I think that's as far as he's going to get.
And yeah, I don't think Fair is going to lap Julio Cesar here because we are, a lap and a quarter to go. So I don't think he's going to catch that 0-0. So yeah, Mashburn's going to finish on the lead lap as here comes Devin Fair to take the white flag. 1 lap to go. Man, what a race.
Yeah, Devin Fair, the strategy didn't work in his favor at Denver last week, but he's made up for it in a big way here, leading 66 laps of this race. And as he rounds turn 4 for the final time today, Devin Fair gets his 4th win of 2025, the 12th victory of his Superstar Series career, which puts him solidly 3rd on the all-times win list, and he's only 3 wins now behind Christian Vargas for 2nd on that list. Kruger 2nd, Finguy 3rd, Chris 4th, Zayden Davidson in the top 5, Vargas, Hall, Dillon Young, Lane Sanders, Zachary DeLello completing the top 10. And for Dillon Young, that had to have been the most agonizing 60 laps of his life.
Yeah, just one small mistake and it cost him the win, a top 5, and crucial points on Miles Mashburn. Yeah, he still gained points on Mashburn, but he could have gained a heck of a lot more. And it just wasn't meant to be tonight. But chin up, he's still the points leader leaving this race. And he didn't lose too many points on those ahead of him because a lot of the guys ahead of him they were a little ways back.
Well, safe to say that Dillon Young's got to be feeling pretty good, even if he did have a bit of a rough outing today. He leaves this race 26 points ahead of Miles Mashburn in the championship as we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway next time out for race number 28 of the season. Only 3 races left to crown a champion. I expect it to go all the way down to the wire. But with that being said, from Jacob Crago and from myself as well, thanks for joining us at North Wilkesboro Speedway. A lot of action at this tiny little racetrack, but it gave us quite a good show. Congratulations to Devin Fair, his 4th victory of 2025. That's the most of all drivers.